Hello and welcome, everyone. It is Trades Talk Tuesday, and I am your host, Pop Culture Mechanic. So today, I thought we would look into a little bit of safety on the job. Now that you've gotten your trades job, or you're working your way into getting it, you must take into account safety as a big factor in your life. But before we get into that, we're just going to have a little look into some of the news happening around the maintenance world. And to do that, I'm going to have a look at a magazine called MRO. You can see here. Just get that out of the way. And move this over here. Actually, make it big. There we go. Let's see what's in the news here. Oil Sands Group pledges to spend $16.5 billion on carbon capture project by 2030. All right. That's fine. They want to spend it on that. Man injured in Newfoundland refinery explosion has died. It's always sad when a worker loses their life on the job. What else we got here? Ontario is building more electricity generation and storage. I think they have to. With the population they have, they need more capacity. A Guelph-based company is developing an air filter that kills the coof indoors. Okay, I gotta see this. What is this all about? Zentech patent pending ZenGuard technology, first applied to surgical face masks at the height of the pandemic, is now on the verge of making indoor air quality purer and safer by coating the air filters already used in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems in both residential and industrial buildings. The research is being conducted through an internship program funded by Mitacs. Zentech is working with several Mitacs interns from universities across Canada, including the University of Guelph. The compound behind ZenGuard was originally invented by Mitacs intern Dr. Sayadash Haddadi, a researcher at University of British Columbia, Okanagan. The magic of this coating is that it's incredibly safe. It effectively kills all viral and bacterial pathogens, and it's green, said Greg Fenton, CEO Zentech. We now know that the coof and other pathogens spread primarily through aerosolized droplets when we cough or sneeze, and that when those droplets get drawn into HVAC systems, they can quickly spread to a much wider area. It became very apparent to us that if we could put our coating on filters to trap and kill these pathogens, like we were already doing with surgical masks, we would have a wonderful solution for indoor air quality. ZenGuard technology raised $33 million in funding in January 2022 and is currently completing phase 2 testing through the Innovative Solutions Canada program. Okay, so it's just a coating that goes over filters. All right. Let's see here. Pack Machinery rebrands bags and materials business. Quebec startup working with local students to bring renewable energy to market. France fights winter shortages with new energy saving drive. A little sip of tea there. A large rail union rejects deal, renewing strike possibility. Okay, this might affect quite a few people then. The U.S.'s third largest railroad union rejected a deal with employers Monday, renewing the possibility of a strike that could cripple the economy. Both sides will return to the bargaining table before that happens. Over half of track maintenance workers represented by the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Employees Division who voted opposed the 5-year contract despite 24% raises and $5,000 in bonuses. Union President Tony Cardwell said the railroads didn't do enough to address the lack of paid time off, particularly sick time, and working conditions after the major railroads eliminated nearly 1/3 of their jobs over the past 6 years. Railroaders are discouraged and upset with working conditions and compensation and hold their employer in low regard. Railroaders do not feel valued. Cardwell said in a statement, they resent the fact that management holds no regard for their quality of life, illustrated by their stubborn reluctance to provide a higher quantity of paid time off, especially for sickness. The group that represents the railroads in negotiations said they were disappointed the union rejected the agreement, but emphasized that no immediate threat of a strike exists because the union agreed to keep working for now. 4 other railroad unions have approved their agreements with freight railroads, including BNSF, Union Pacific, Kansas City Southern, CSX, and Norfolk Southern. But all 12 unions representing 115,000 workers must ratify their contract to prevent a strike. Another union, the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, initially rejected its deal but has since been renegotiated a new contract. Voting will be completed in mid-November. President Joe Biden pressured the railroads and unions to reach a deal last month ahead of mid-September deadline to allow a strike or walkout. Many businesses also urged Congress to be ready to intervene in the dispute and block a strike if an agreement wasn't reached because so many companies rely on railroads to deliver their raw materials and finished products. In general, the deals the unions agreed to closely follow the recommendations a special panel of arbitrators that Biden appointed made this summer that Presidential Emergency Board recommended what would be the biggest raises rail workers have seen in more than 4 decades, but didn't resolve the union's concerns about working conditions. Instead, it said the union should pursue additional negotiations or arbitration that can take years with each railroad individually. The Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Unions said it agreed to delay any strike until 5 days after Congress reconvenes in mid-November to allow time for additional negotiations. Quality of life issues took center stage at the end of these negotiations, with unions representing conductors and engineers holding out until the end for 3 unpaid leave days a year for medical appointments, and a promise that railroads will negotiate further about giving those employees regularly scheduled days off when they aren't on call. Engineers and conductors have complained that strict attendance policies make it hard to take any time off. Truck maintenance workers in the BMWED generally have more regular schedules than engineers and conductors, but all the rail unions have objected to the lack of paid sick time in the industry, particularly after working to keep trains moving throughout the pandemic. Rutgers University professor Todd Vachon, who teaches labor relations classes, said he's not entirely surprised the contract was rejected given how emboldened the union members feel to fight for better working conditions amidst the current worker shortage. The biggest sticking issue is quality of life, especially access to paid time off and paid sick time. If the railroads can make some movement in that area, it will likely go a long way with rail workers who currently feel they are not being respected by their employers. Vachon said wages and resource allocation are one important part of contract negotiations, but feeling respected by one's employer remains one of the top reasons that workers form and join unions. Although strike is now possible, Vachon said he's not too worried yet because both sides have more than a month to reach a new agreement. Okay, so things like paid time off is a good idea. There are times when people need a day, either to attend a doctor or dentist or something like that. But I've been in that position too, where it's like I can't afford to miss a day of work. So if they can swing it so that you can have a paid day off, then you can get what you need done, and then you won't take a be hit with a financial penalty for not getting paid for those hours that you're at work. And I know a lot of companies don't do that. You need time off, that's too bad. You just don't get paid. But I am a strong believer in sick days for people, and it's a good thing to not have to worry about being hit up financially just because you have to go and take care of yourself. So hopefully they can come to an agreement on that. Otherwise, I think a lot of a lot of things are going to slow down because of no rail traffic. Ontario's electricity sector will need more natural gas generation. Atlas Copco acquired Mesa Equipment and Supply Company. Okay, so Atlas Copco buying up another company there. German Technology Day 2022 releases agenda. Ridgeline launches fluid analysis program. FBO annual conference returns. U.S. outlines plan for long-term baby formula imports. Really? Baby formula imports. You can't make it on your own? U.S. regulators on Friday unveiled their plan to allow foreign baby formula manufacturers to stay on the market long-term, an effort to diversify the nation's tightly concentrated industry and prevent future shortages. The FDA said recent entrants to the U.S. market will have until October 2025 to make sure their formulas comply with federal standards for nutrition labeling and manufacturing. The agency noted that some companies should be able to meet those requirements sooner. The U.S. has been forced to turn to foreign manufacturers to boost formula supply since February, when FDA inspectors temporarily shuttered the nation's largest domestic formula factory due to bacterial contamination. In May, the FDA... Where does it say here? Oh, yeah, right there. The FDA eased federal import regulations, and President Joe Biden authorized the airlift of millions of pounds of powdered formula from overseas. Together, those actions have brought the equivalent of 300 million bottles of formula into the country, according to the FDA. Manufacturers from around the world have demonstrated their commitment to helping bolster U.S. supply, and in turn, we are committed to continuing these flexibilities for their products to safely remain on the market, FDA Commissioner Robert Califf said in a statement. The policy allowing importation was set to expire in November, but the FDA said it would extend to January, after which companies can ask to stay on the market longer. For decades, the U.S. formula industry has been dominated by a handful of companies with domestic production facilities, excluding similar products from Europe, Australia, and Latin America. The U.S. system evolved to prioritize safety and low pricing, favoring a few large players. Foreign formula companies seeking to remain in the U.S. must meet specific thresholds for 30 nutrients and undergo manufacturing inspections by FDA staff, among other steps. Earlier this month, the FDA formally acknowledged several shortcomings in its response to the shortage, including outdated information technology systems and inadequate training among its food facility inspectors. So it just sounds like the monopoly couldn't keep up with the demand. Hinton getting geothermal energy project with integrated vertical farm. Aquapac partners with industrial physics in sustainable packaging transition. Canadian government announces appointment to Canadian Dairy Commission. Government of Canada invests in projects that reduce emissions from food waste. Maple Leaf Foods completes construction of its poultry plant. Okay, now we're going back quite far now, back to October the 4th. It's about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 2. Sailor acquitted of setting fire that destroyed the massive ship. Bridge maintenance costs skyrocket. So that was MRO. And next up, I'll look at Plant Magazine. What do we got here? Linamar says third quarter vehicle production forecast down meaningfully for Europe. What's that mean? Okay, yeah, we'll get rid of this here. Reach my free article limit for the month. Okay, well, so much for Plant Magazine. That's enough of those guys. They're going to do that kind of dumb thing. Okay. Next up, let's talk safety. Safety is very important. It's what keeps you and your coworkers alive, or keep you from getting hurt. Makes it so you can go home at the end of the day and not have to worry about being injured or going to the hospital. So safety, most people just think, oh, I'm safe. I'm good. You know, you think, oh, I wear my safety glasses. I wear my safety boots. I got my hard hat. I'm good. But it's a little more than that, because that just describes one small degree of safety, which is your PPE. So yeah, your PPE is important and you should wear it, but your PPE is also your last line of defense. This should not be something that you automatically rely on to keep you safe. It follows what's called the hierarchy of controls. So, have a look at this, and it says, I hope you can see this okay. When considering how to reduce the risk, there is a certain order you should follow. This is called the hierarchy of controls. It's important to follow the hierarchy as shown below rather than start with the easiest control measures. Note that while the controls are listed in order of effectiveness, all 4 types of controls should be considered. They often work best in combination. For example, first responders cannot eliminate risk by choosing not to enter a burning building, but they can use engineering controls, administrative controls, and personal protective equipment and clothing to minimize the risks when they enter the building. So, it goes from most effective to least effective. So, elimination is physically remove the hazard. Next after that is substitution, replace the hazard. After that is engineering controls, so isolate people from the hazard. Next is administrative controls, change the way people work. And last, PPE, protect the worker with personal protective equipment. That is your last line of defense. Always remember that. So, elimination or substitution. Eliminating the hazard completely is always the first choice. Substitution involves replacing the materials or process with a less hazardous one. When considering these options, ask yourself, can I find safer ways to perform the task? For example, if falling is a hazard, eliminate the risk by storing stock at lower heights, so workers don't have to climb ladders to reach the goods. Or, can I use something less harmful? For example, if chemical-heavy industrial cleaners are a hazard, consider substituting cleaners made of vinegar and water mixed with salt, borax, or baking soda. Just make sure the substitutions don't create new hazards. So, engineering controls. If you can't eliminate the hazards or substitute safer alternatives, engineering controls are the next best options. These involve using work equipment or other means to prevent workers from being exposed to a hazard. Engineering controls are physical changes to the workplace and may include equipment guarding, guardrails, traffic control lanes, and barriers between vehicles and pedestrians, and many other options. For example, while working at heights cannot be avoided in construction, guardrails can be installed to prevent falls from happening. Guardrails are an example of an engineering control. Next, administrative controls. Administrative controls involve identifying and implementing safe work procedures so your workers can perform their job duties safely. The findings of your risk assessment will form the basis of these safe work procedures. Examples of administrative controls include implementing person check procedures and prohibiting the use of mobile phones while workers are driving. Personal protective equipment and clothing. Using personal protective equipment, PPE, is another important control to protect workers. For example, while working with toxic chemicals may be necessary in certain workplaces such as laboratories, the use of PPE such as protective eyewear and gloves will help reduce the exposure risk. Similarly, first responders enter hazardous sites as a regular part of their job, but they diligently use various types of PPE to protect themselves. So, if you remember the hierarchy of controls, this will help you if you're up against a job, or if you see something out there that you think maybe you can be done better. And any safety manager, safety supervisor, they should be all aware of the hierarchy of controls and preach it on the job site and practice it. So you come to them with a problem. You say, this is not good. It's not safe. And then what can we do about it? And then you go through elimination, substitution, engineering, administrative, and PPE. And they should be all for this. They should not argue with you. Hello, Blaine. Good to see you. We're just going through some safety stuff, your hierarchy of controls. So, we'll go along now with some of the PPE that you're going to use out there. So when you're out there on the job, there isn't just one type of gloves. You're going to be using all sorts of stuff, depending on the environment that you're in. Just like here it shows, there's natural rubber, there's polyvinyl alcohol gloves, nitrile, neoprene, polyvinyl chloride, cotton, wire mesh, Kevlar, welding, leather, and anti-vibration. So it depends all on the job that you're doing. So when you're out there and you're dealing with chemicals, well, you're going to pick yourself some polyvinyl chloride, polyvinyl alcohol ones, some nitrile ones, neoprene, something that's going to protect you from those chemicals. You have to make sure that the chemicals don't react with the gloves you're using, otherwise there's no point in using them. So you always have to double check, and to do that, you'll check your SDS sheets. So a safety data sheet comes with all chemicals, all materials that should have an SDS sheet. And in this SDS sheet, you will find there is a section on PPE to use. So whether you need to use a respirator or goggles or supplied air, or what type of gloves you need to use, if you have to wear a full chemical suit, it'll all be there. And it'll because this comes right from the manufacturer. The people that make these chemicals have to supply them. So you make sure you use whichever one's applicable to whatever chemical you're using. Yeah, in America you call them MSDS. Yeah, they've recently changed just to SDS. We used to call them MSDS too, but now I don't know why they changed it. They just decided to SDS. So I myself, I keep on me at least 3 different types of gloves for depending on what I'm doing. I'll have a pair of cotton gloves, or I should say leather gloves. I'll have a pair of nitrile gloves. And then I'll have a pair of thicker winter gloves, just for handling stuff that's a little. They make good insulation, so it's either for handling stuff that's a little hot or a little cold. But it's all about keeping your hands safe, because the majority of injuries on the job is people's hands, fingers, hands. You look at any company, I don't care who it is, you will always have a lot of hand injuries. Kevlar gloves and wire mesh gloves, those are if you're using sharp instruments. You're using knives to cut things, you throw those gloves on, and that way if you accidentally slide the knife across your hand, you won't cut yourself. So that's important. And and the company should provide them. If you can show them that you need these gloves for your job, they should provide them at no cost to you. But if you work at a place that doesn't, then you've got to bite the bullet, protect yourself. Even if you have to go and get your own, I would highly recommend. Then you put your name on them, you keep them, make sure nobody takes them, because those are yours. And it's your life. You've got to protect yourself. Nobody else is going to protect you. You know people that don't claim a knife until it makes them bleed? If it cuts you first, it's yours. Yeah, there you go. And you'll always get cut with a dull knife. Because usually you're struggling and pushing so hard to cut through whatever you're doing, it usually slips and you end up cutting yourself. Or people do things like cut towards themselves. And that's always a bad scene overall. You don't ever want to have a knife coming at you, even if you're holding on to it. But those are gloves. I mean, it's one of the most important parts of your body, your hands. Everyone does everything with their hands. You drive, you keyboard, mouse, play video games, pick up your kids, you hug people. It's hard to do a lot of that if you don't have your hands available. So definitely a big fan of protecting your hands. I've been in the trade for over 25 years and I still have all my fingers, so must be doing something right. Next, you would want to use or make sure you have proper boots, because depending on where you are, you want to have boots that are going to fit well for whatever you're doing. Are you working in a foundry? Are you working in a place with a lot of moisture on the ground, lots of water? Do you need safety, like rubber boots, safety rubber boots? Do you just need to wear a pair of shoes, steel-toed shoes? So there's quite the gamut of boots. Yeah, so you've got your rubber boots, steel-toed rubber boots, all sorts of gripping soles. So no matter what you're walking on, you're walking in snow, you want something with big teeth on it, or you want to put on some ice cleats so that you don't slip. Most importantly, though, is you want to be comfortable. You're wearing these things 8 hours a day or more. So if you're on your feet for a long time and you're wearing boots that are not comfortable, you're just going to have sore feet, and it'll work its way up to your legs, and it'll work its way up even further than that. And before you know it, you'll have a sore back, and you're wondering why your back hurts so much. It all starts with your feet. It's very important that you pick a pair of boots that are comfortable, or if you can, get some orthotics for them, some insoles, put them in there. Make sure your feet are comfortable. You're on them for so long, and not on comfortable grass either. You're walking around on hard concrete, which just sucks the life out of your feet. And make sure that some companies will have specifications. They'll be like, you have to have an 8-inch heel on there, or not heel. The part that comes up to like it can't go. It has to go past your ankle. They want it like an 8-inch one, not a 6-inch. Or you can't wear safety shoes. You have to wear boots, and they have to have like the green triangle on them, so they protect you from electric shock and such. So always look into seeing what the company has for specifications on the boots, and if they'll help you pay for them. Some companies will give you a boot voucher, which you can go out and buy boots. So I've worked at places where you get like $150 or $100 for boots. You don't go in there and just buy the boots that the money covers, because that'll usually be the pair that's not very comfortable for you. Try them on, see what you like. Use that as money that they give you to put on to help pay for the boots that are better for you, and then pay the difference. So I've done that before too. I've found the boots I like, put them on, You're like, yep, these are good. These are comfortable. You go buy them, use the boot voucher, and then pay the difference. Zappos has a program. Your business doesn't offer it. Have them talk to Zappos. Okay. Cheaper than LNJ? Okay, nice. No, that's good. I don't know if we have those guys in Canada. Usually what we do is we go to a place called Mark's Work Warehouse, and the company usually has set up a program there. At least it was like that in the past, where you just go there and you're like, yep, I'm getting these boots, and here you go. And you usually get a deal on them too. If the company's good, they can swing a deal with it. Also, there's other places like, I don't know if you guys have Red Wings. Red Wing boots are actually very expensive, but they're supposed to be very good. Comfortable, and they do repairs for you on them. It's quite the thing. I've never owned a pair myself, but I've heard a lot of good things about Red Wings. Zappos is the Amazon shoe company. You'd be surprised if they didn't have international. Okay. Yeah, that's news to me. I haven't... At least I don't think I remember hearing about them. But it's a good idea. Always get yourself the most comfortable pair. You know, you're going to be on your feet all day. You better have a good pair. And depending on what you do, because there's special ones you can get if you're doing welding, you're going to need those ones. You can get those ones that cover your metatarsal. And that way no hot sparks will get down in there and burn your foot, because it's when your foot's burning, it seems really hard to get that boot off your foot. It takes a long time. So if you can get a covering like that, it covers the metatarsal, which is the top of your foot. Also, if something drops on it, that'll also help protect. Because usually they have steel toes, but steel toe is not usually where you drop the piece of metal on. It's usually on the top of your foot or on the side. And then it'll have steel soles as well, so you can actually, if you step on nails and such like that. So yeah, that is boots. I think in wintertime, you're going to want to get yourself a good pair of snow boots. Depending on how cold it gets where you are. I know that some of them start at minus 20 degrees C. Some go to minus 40, and I've even seen minus 60. When you get that cold, you shouldn't go outside. There should be a policy that the company has that when the temperature gets down to like minus 40 and then it starts blowing wind, nobody goes outside. And if they do go outside, you're going to do like what do you call it? You're going to go out for a very limited amount of time. You're going to have to be like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then come in for 45 minutes. And then go out for 10 minutes, come in for 45 minutes, something like that. It should be done that way. There's no reason for you to sacrifice yourself for the company by getting like frostbite and such. Trust me, I've had at the beginnings of frostbite on my fingers. I went out the one winter time. I had to drive a aerial platform out in the middle. It was dark out in the morning. It was very cold. Luckily, I had my buddy who drove a semi, and he was following me out there, giving me a little extra light. And when I got to where I had to go, I had to climb into his cab and took my gloves off and just held them up to the heater that he had going. And I'll tell you, the burning that comes off your hands is just unbelievable. It's just the most amount of pain you could ever feel. And I looked at my fingers and they had little black spots on them. And I'm like, wow, I am getting frostbite. This is not good. So I eventually got over that. My hands heated up and the black spots went away, but I was quite worried at the time that's what was going to happen to me. And nobody wants to lose any fingers or toes because of frostbite. Next up, hard hat. Not a lot of people. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain. Stop screwing me around, YouTube. You are so. Yeah, so hard hats. All different colors, all different kinds. They are pretty much just to save your head from getting hitting it on anything. If things get dropped on you, unless it's small, but if something's big dropping on you, you're not just you're getting hit in the head, but you're also gonna hurt your neck. You're gonna be in a lot of pain for your neck getting hit by something big. So I'd say just make sure you got one that's comfortable. You don't want one that falls off. You want to make sure it's put on right. It might seem that putting it on backwards is the cool way to do it, but it's not, because every time if it rains, it's going to go on the brim and into the back of your neck. So if that's the case, get yourself a rain jacket with a hat on it. But yes, these are okay. Some of them you can add like clip-on earmuffs. You can clip on face shields, all that sort of stuff, which is handy when you're out there and you just need to do something that requires a face shield. You just flip it down, you're good to go. Some of them will have, you can clip on like lights so that you can see what you're doing if it's a little dark. So I don't know if a lot of places are requiring people to wear hard hats. We still are where I'm at. So it's just a good idea to protect your head. As having a head injury is it's not good, because it's gonna affect you for the rest of your life. You're gonna get a head injury, and either someone's gonna have to take care of you, or you're not gonna be able to accomplish just even basic things anymore, depending on how severe the head injury. Okay. So after your hard hat, safety glasses. You can get all sorts of safety glasses. It's unbelievable. Like myself. Yeah, head injury equals dead injury. You got that right, Rupa. Good to see you. Welcome. Safety glasses, you can get all kinds. I myself have to wear prescription ones, so I wear them all the time. Yeah, what is that? Full face glasses. What is that? I've never seen that. Oversized, full face, polarized, large mirror sunglasses. Huge big mask. Protective face shield visor glasses. I don't know. I'd have to look and see if that's got the old. That's just crazy. That's cosplay stuff right there. Like you've got you're looking like Cobra Commander in that thing. Like really, you're getting dressed up for G.I. Joe. Oh, usually in sports. Okay. I like it. It looks pretty awesome. I'd wear that. Yeah, and $5. What's it say here? Is it? I'd have to check and see if it's like CSA approved or UL approved or something like that, because I don't know if we'd be allowed to wear it at work. A potential future Whoopa purchase so I can avoid showing my face. Yeah, there you go. Who is that mystery YouTuber anyway? No, that's I've never seen that. But all kinds. You can get all kinds and all shapes for whatever your face may look like. You can get round ones. You can get, it looks like you can get designer ones. Bolé, safety glasses, really. And then safety goggles, which I'm not too crazy about. Safety goggles usually sweat a lot and they fog up. And so you can't see out of them very well. So I still like the safety glasses. And you can get them with straps so they hang on the back of your head easier. And most of the time they're okay. Yeah, if you've ever used these, you know that they're not 100%, but they do get like 95% of the stuff that's thrown your way. And usually the other 5% of that time is stuff that's like bouncing off your side of your face and then into your glasses. So it doesn't happen as often. Which is why I always say, yeah, you have your glasses, but wear a face shield too. Because if you've ever seen a grinding wheel blow up or a zip cut wheel blow up, those things come at you at 10,000 RPM and they could just get lodged in the side of your face. So 60% of the time, 60% of the time, it works every time. I love that quote from Anchorman. That was great. So yes, a face shield is a good idea to wear in conjunction with your eyeglasses, or your safety glasses. Because the eyeglasses will stop the small stuff, but the big stuff, that's for the face shield to take care of. So yes, and you can even get ones that look like sunglasses, ones with comfortable nose pieces, or ear, or the arms are a little more comfortable. And you got to make sure that they're from a legitimate company that makes them. Don't get some like fly-by-night ones, because they won't protect anything and you'll be hurt. And they don't care. They have your money. So always go with name brand stuff. You saw a guy whose glasses saved him from a grinding. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly, yeah. Perfect example. You saw a guy who had a face shield and a giant piece of metal came right for his forehead. Goodness, he still had that. Chunk of metal still drew blood. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I'm glad I've never come that close with stuff as far as catching something in the face. I think I shouldn't say it's one of the worst ones, but something happened where I was using a hydraulic arm. And this thing had like a 10-inch cylinder, and I was opening up the hydraulics on it. It was off. It was just whatever was sitting in the cylinder, and I was right in front of the opening, and I took it off, and it released the pressure. The cylinder went down, and it's just I caught a mouthful of hydraulic oil, and that wasn't very fun. So I spent the rest of the time spitting all of it out and washing my mouth out, because that wasn't very fun. But that was years ago, and I've learned a lot since then. So as long as you learn from your mistakes. Hey, Kitty Bear. All this stuff won't save you from a metalwork teacher who likes to make throwing stars and throws them through doors. No, it probably wouldn't. I'd recommend maybe some chainmail or something like that. If somebody's going to get that rowdy with that stuff, that's pretty crazy. Not your definition of ideal lunch, but to each their own. Yeah, exactly. At least it wasn't drain. Oh, hell no. No way. Your metalwork teacher nearly killed another teacher doing that? Yikes. What a crazy thing that is. Also with PPE, that you may use. Respirators. At my last place I worked at, I had to wear one. I wore one for 15 years at that place. And you got used to it, and you learned a lot about it because you wore it every day. It was necessary to wear a respirator. Not so much, and yeah, maybe working at the waste management center, maybe it was a bit of the smell to begin with, but then afterwards it was the particulate. That was what really, you were protecting yourself from the unknown particulate in the air. The smell, I mean, yeah, people get used to it, but that other stuff, you gotta take care of yourself with that. And sometimes people will use the paper masks, and the N95s, and that N95 means it filters out 95% of the particulate. But there was ones over here, these pink ones, these are called P100s, and so they catch 100% of the particulate. And so you could use those if you were, let's say, welding or doing something where you were worried more about the particulate than the gases or the fumes. But if you were worried about fumes, then you would have to wear the cartridges. And there's different kinds of cartridges. So you can get some for like acid and such, and H2S and ammonia, stuff like that. So you have to make sure that the cartridge fits with what you're trying to protect yourself against. And the mask itself has to fit your face. Everyone doesn't have the same face. You can get sizes, small, medium, large, and you can get different manufacturers like 3M and North. Well, their masks are going to be a little bit different for different people's shaped faces. So then you can get a full face mask. And the full face mask is a little better because you don't have to worry about a face shield or anything like that. So that's a little more protection for you when you're out there, and you don't have to worry about splashing or anything like that. A little harder to talk, but you learn to adapt. You just gagged a little. Yeah. To be honest, the teacher didn't expect the throwing star going through the door. It was supposed to be a fire safety door with a metal plate in it, and it wasn't. Oh, busted. Somebody thought it was a fire door and wasn't fire rated. No metal plate. So taking care of your respirators, clean them after each use, clean them before you use them, right? Give them a wash once a week. And make sure that, you use it properly. Make sure you get fit tested. You have to do like a negative test and a positive test to make sure that it's not leaking by the seal. For us guys, we got to shave. We got to make sure we're clean shaven. Otherwise, you're not going to get a good seal, and then it defeats the purpose. You're going to be overcome by whatever gas or anything that you're trying to protect yourself from. So you have to do that sort of thing as well, and it gets taught to you. Your employer is responsible for training you on the use of a respirator and any PPE that you don't know how to use properly. It's their responsibility to train you how to use it. Otherwise, they are liable. So yeah, and as well with respirators, you got your half mask, which is the one I've used for a lot of years. Full face, I used a little bit too, but then there was an SCBA, so you're carrying your air around on a tank on your back, and that'll last for anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes. You can get like a 30-minute tank, you can get a 60-minute tank, and yeah, same thing. You have to make sure you're clean shaven. You have to make sure your mask is in good condition. Not a lot of people are comfortable wearing SCBAs because they feel very claustrophobic. You have this weighted tank on your back. You're breathing and you're exerting yourself, and you have to be aware that you're using up your air. And some people panic when their air runs out and they can't get they go and they rip their mask off, which is not what you're supposed to do. You have to you have to be calm, and you just remove take yourself out of the dangerous area you're in and remove the face piece regulator, and you'll be fine. But they usually have an alarm that tells you when you have about 5 minutes left of air. It's a low level alarm. It goes off. Once it goes off, you got to exit the area. That's all there is to it. I worked at a vacation job in a factory where they made the gray plastic sewer pipes and drainage tubes. It was all fun and games till I read what the materials did on breathing in. Yeah. From cancer to infertility and a couple of other things breathing in the particle. Yeah, exactly. That's why you got to protect yourself. Make sure. Grab yourself a mask. Make sure it's rated for whatever you're doing, whether it's particulates or vapors. The last type, and I've used these too, is a supplied air breathing apparatus, which is usually an air trailer that has a bunch of bottles on it, and you have a long hose connecting you, and you use that to draw your air from. Now, you can use those for hours and hours and not run out of air. Drawback, you have a hose connecting you, so you have to make sure it doesn't get kinked, doesn't get stepped on. You have to make sure that you can reach to where you have to go. They're fairly long, usually I think 100 feet long, so you usually have enough to reach where you have to go. And also, if something does happen where either the line gets cut or somebody parks on it with a car or a forklift or something like that, you have a escape bottle. So all you do is you turn on your escape bottle you have beside you, and you're good at least for, depending on the size of the bottle, 5, 10, 15 minutes to get out of where you are. So you turn that bottle on, you disconnect your hose that's not working anymore, and you make your way back the way you came. So that's another piece of PPE you can use. Respirator. Very important for the jobs you're doing. You don't want your lungs to be the reason why you can't run and play with your kids anymore, or can't climb that mountain or go on that trip. It's very important to take care of them. Same with your eyes. Your eyes are very important. You want to be able to see things. You want to be able to look at your loved ones. My instructor that I went to school, when I went to industrial mechanics school, he's like, okay, everybody, I want you to take your left hand and cover your left eye. He says, how would you like to look at your loved ones for the rest of your life like this? And so that kind of stuck with me. It's like, oh, okay, better take care of my eyes. Know what's overrated? Arms. No. You need those. You need those to pick up stuff. How are you going to do your Pokemon hunting if you don't have arms? So I think that's about covered all the PPE and the safety things that you should use. Remember that we have to controlling the risks with our hierarchy of controls. And your PPE is the last line of defense. There's a bunch of other things to do before you rely on that PPE. Whoopas don't got arms, and I'm doing just fine. That's true. Yeah. You want to be able to keep gaming. Anything not needed for game, I can lose. Yeah, well, you need those hands to play the controllers. But just remember, if you take anything away from this, safety is very important no matter what you're doing. This is I'm talking about on the job, but even at home, working off a ladder, people fall off of ladders all the time. You got to remember the 4-in-1 rule. For every 4 feet up, the base of your ladder comes out 1 foot away from the wall. So just remember the 1-in-4 rule. Also, the belt buckle rule. the two rails of the ladder. Keep your belt buckle between those rails and you won't fall off. As soon as your belt buckle goes past those rails, you're falling over. And that's not something you can stop. Once you're falling, you fall fast and you hit hard. And it doesn't care what's beneath you. I've only had a ladder slip out from under me once, and I was very fortunate. I was working on a tank for a holding tank for solvent or something like that. And there was something on the ground in front of it that looked to me like it was sticky or whatever. And I was like, okay, that's no problem. I'll just put the ladder there and I'll climb right up. So I got up to about the 7th rung or the 8th rung, and I'm working away, and all of a sudden I can feel the ladder start to move away. So quickly I turned sideways and I stuck my elbow out onto a beam beside me, and I put my other elbow on top of the tank I was working on, and the ladder fell, and I held myself up. I managed to call over to one of my colleagues and got them to get the ladder back up so I could get back down. But that's how easy it can happen. Just a little slip away from where it is, and you're on the ground and you're hurting. Yeah, so in conclusion, just want to say I thank you guys for coming out. This was the Trades Talk Tuesday. Hoping to do this every Tuesday. We'll pick a different topic every week, and I'll discuss it, and hopefully everybody can learn a few things. You know, I want everyone to be safe out there. I want everybody to think about getting into the trades, doing something that will help you out in life. Learn a skill. You can learn a skill. Nobody can take it away from you, and you can use it to make your way through life, whether it's repairing things or installing things, whatever it may be. Something that's fun to you. When do we talk about getting forklift certified? Ooh, there you go. I've driven my fair share, or operated my fair share of forklifts. I've also operated front-end loaders and skid steers and aerial platforms, and I've also operated a mini crane. So I've done my fair share of equipment operating. So yeah, I can go over. I can't certify you, but I can sure tell you what to be aware of. But yes, I'll think of another topic next week. I just thought today would be a good topic of talking safety, because it's important everywhere. On the job, at home. You know, you wanna always go home safely every day. Go home so you can do the things you like to do in your spare time. You know? And right now, I think I work at a place that's pretty darn dangerous, just for this fact that there's chemicals everywhere. So I have to be extra on guard, and we have very strict safety rules to abide by. So it's something that's come to the forefront in my mind anyway. A lot of people get complacent, and it's easy to, but you have to try to come at it with fresh eyes every time. And don't just say, oh, yeah, I know this. You should be thinking, instead of thinking that way, you should be thinking, what can I do? What's the improvements out there? What can I do to make things better? And you're obligated, and I don't know if it's like this in the US, but you're obligated to look out for other people. You know, it's everyone has an obligation to stop people from doing unsafe work. Oh, and to refuse it. You can refuse unsafe work from your employer. If they want you to do something unsafe, you can refuse without penalty. They may think of other ways to get rid of you, but they can't fire you because you refuse to do an unsafe job. Because then you bring in OSHA or whoever it is, and they'll be like, nope, they're right. This is unsafe. So You're never certified, but you've driven forklifts? There you go. That's good stuff. But for now, I would just like to thank everybody for coming out. It's just a nice short little stream talking about safety. And I'm hoping that everyone out there is safe in their life. I will continue on next week with a different topic. Saturday is going to be more gaming with Shantae. And Sunday will be anime chat. And then Tuesdays are always Trades Talk Tuesdays. So until next time, my friends, this is Pop Culture Mechanic wishing you good night.